Table built. I did, in fact, just so you all know, I did start the stream. And we have raised $100. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. That is fucked up.
Give me that cat tip.
We're on. Yeah.
Happy hour. We should be
Give me
having
a-
happy hour.
give me a
Maybe.
what?
I don't know. Welcome into another edition of Hit Points Not Required Happy Hour, where we talk about ourselves and then eventually get into talking some Dungeons and Dragons or other TTRPG stuff. How y'all doing today?
Let's wait while everyone responds.
No one's responding. I, on the other hand, am living the dream.
As per usual.
Mhm.
Insight check.
Mhm.
Violet?
I'm doing just fine. Brought my cat to the vet today.
Yeah, there's
She's doing well. It was very good. She has this is a ridiculous topic to be discussing. She has hyperthyroidism, and so she tends to be underweight. She takes medication for it, and she actually put on 0.5 pound this time since the last time we were there, which is a good amount of weight for a cat. So she's doing very well.
To weight gain.
Yes, to weight gain. I can drink to that. That's for sure.
So yeah, a successful visit.
Fantastic. Today happens to be my mother's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday.
You're not seeing this because you don't know how to work computers and stuff, but happy birthday anyway.
Nonetheless.
Yes.
Not the only person that's had a birthday recently, is it, Brooke?
I mean, I did in fact have a birthday, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
After the last happy hour,
Post happy hour,
but before the last live stream. So
that narrows it down, people. If you really want to know.
If you are trying to determine exactly how to steal my identity, my name is not actually Rook Vellum.
So best of luck to you.
I mean, but maybe if we create an identity for Rook Vellum, we can claim them as a dependent.
That would be great. Any other tax write-offs I can get every single year would be fantastic.
Nice.
I did in fact owe the man the most money I've ever owed last year, so that's less than ideal.
Well, is it because you made the most money you've ever made?
It certainly is not, which is why I am like, what the F to my tax lady. But she said it is all correct, so I guess that sucks.
So if you know a good tax shelter and
sounds like it might be time to buy a new vehicle and write that shit off. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, we wish you luck with that. And congratulations to making it around the sun one more time. Huzzah!
Huzzah. Yeah. Huzzah.
The enthusiasm.
If there's one thing this channel is known for, it's our enthusiasm.
Oh yeah, always.
If there's one thing that I am not known for, it's my enthusiasm.
You just got to know you well enough to catch those little micro enthusiasms.
That's right. The tiny little spits of energy. That's what you're looking for with me. Week over week, right?
Yeah, the more you tune in, the more you'll be able to recognize those expressions. That's all there is to it.
Remember that one time Rook was having fun?
I noted the date because
you got the little clip of it right here. Oh, nice. So, update time. How is your lawn doing?
My
We
lawn is
need our
great.
weekly lawn
So, ironically, it's been over a week since I mowed the lawn, and the lawn does not need to be mowed again because we've had no rain at all here. But there are no updates on the mower itself.
Mm.
Have you called to try to find out, or you're just like, no, I don't want to know
I've
about that goddamn fucking thing?
I spent most of the last week up in Louisville working on my daughter's house. So she did just purchase a house and, had some stuff that needed to be done. So I've been doing that for her. So that's what I've been doing most of the week. And I have not chastised the lawnmower people yet. However, my thoughts lie in the realm of, hey, why don't you come buy this shit back and take this crappy mower off my hands? That's where the lawnmower debacle / drama lies right now. So,
What it sounds to me like what needs to happen is we need to get our army of viewers and followers to unleash a social media campaign on the lawnmower people on your behalf.
on Vine Grove Small Engine, that's right. That's those guys.
Oh, calling them out.
That's those. Yeah, probably not. No, I
Blow
don't
them
think that's
up.
blow them up. I don't think that's gonna happen.
All like what, 2 viewers that are probably us in the stream
That's
right
the
now.
two of you. That is in fact the two of
I
you.
guess we need to do it then.
An army of 2. We're on it. That's,
Let me type that in chat so that you can blow them up.
Yeah,
Vine
please.
Grove.
We will make sure you include their social media handles, and we will create a fix Rooks mower hashtag campaign.
Oh, we need a throne campaign to put down in
Yeah.
the. No, fuck that. Rook's mower has not been fixed because Rook is like, I don't want to put more money into this fucking mower, not because I need somebody to help me do it.
I don't know. It sounds like Game of Mowers to me. That's what. That's where I think
Game
we're
of
at.
mowers. Ooh.
You win or the grass grows. That's the way it works.
House Rookvellum. Game of mowers.
Yeah.
House Rookvellum takes over Game of mowers.
Or is it Rook of House Vellum? Maybe.
Oh,
Ooh.
I like that. That's good.
I don't know. That seems a little. That seems a little fancy for me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh gosh! Now I'm excited about the game tomorrow night.
All you need is a little sample, a little clue, a little teaser. That's the way marketing works. Good job there, sir. Oh.
How about you, Chuck? What have you been up to?
Oh, absolutely nothing. Not a lot. I mean, I have had more breakfast for dinner and dinner for breakfast, so that's going on a good scale. I've been enjoying experimenting with that a little more, and I did have to take a local train ride here in the past week. And, coupled with you all should watch this now, even though you're not watching this now, you should watch now, watch now, do the other thing with the stream we did last week that was on a train. And so, I was making all sorts of connections. And I really think this week, this week dads should drink for free. There's no question about that, and all that. But in addition to dads, your train conductors and engineers and ticket takers and all of them, you know what? Y'all drink on us this week. Bars open.
Yes. Public transportation in general. Fantastic.
Yeah, so
I
that's
love
what I've been up here, just riding trains.
actually live very close to some train tracks and can hear them go by all the time. And
That's
I like
probably
it.
not
I
annoying at
like
all.
hearing them. I like it.
I do not live close by to some train tracks, but at 1 in the morning and 5 in the morning, I can hear them go by every time. Brr, brr. Every freaking night.
Yeah, like there's somebody on those tracks. They need to at
Well,
like 2:00 in the morning.
There are 2 crossings that are at least reasonably close to me, right? Two road crossings, if you will, and they're required to blow their horn even in the middle of the night as they approach them. So that's good times. But you know, that's all we hear is just the horn. We don't hear the train itself or anything like that.
See,
We're not right near the tracks.
We get the much better situation of it's just along the track. There's no crossing
you
or
just
anything.
hear
So there's
the
no horn. You just hear like the nice like rumble of the train, and I can see it from my window. Like it's very, very close. So yeah, we just get the little rumble as it goes by, and I can tell now by the sound of it if it's the freight train or the passenger train. So get very used to the different ones. But yeah,
Are you at
trains
the point?
are cool.
You're at the point where you know, oh, looks like they're running late today.
yeah. You get pretty used to it. It's interesting. But yeah, love trains. And yeah, our game was set on a train.
It was, and there was a Roadrunner. So you know, if you need any more than that, you're beyond our help, and we can't do anything for you. There's the Roadrunner, a train, and a Mario Kart incident. So I mean,
that was definitely amazing.
Is that what we're calling it? We're calling it an incident.
Yes. There was an incident. Days since the last incident has been reset.
Now it's an OSHA incident. It's not just an incident.
There may have been an injury caused. There may have been windows broken on account of said incident.
There may have been quite a few people falling from that train. Falling, thrown, either way.
The conductors that are left on that train, here's to you.
We'll
anyone
drink
who
to you. Any employee
left.
that still managed to stay on the train without a freaking crossbow bolt through their chest and yeeted off.
Oh my! I mean, I had a very interesting quandary there. I had the banishment spell prepared, and I was like, if I banish someone on the train, and then
when they come back,
do they come back on the train or where they were when they left and just fall to the ground?
I mean, I can tell you for sure how I would rule it. They return in the point in space where they were, and if the train's not there anymore, that is a shame.
That is the exact opposite of how I would rule it if I were running a game.
Really?
Indeed, yes. Yeah. I would err on the side of not allowing the spell to manipulate the world around it as opposed to the world, whichever. That's the way that I would rule it.
I mean, I think it depends upon the situation and, hey, is this just going to be a funny thing, or is this, hey, the big bad and you manage to
that's true. That's true.
There's a lot of leeway in that, I think.
It does feel kind of cheap if it's like the big thing.
Yeah.
But if it's just like some random person who's like pestering you, then it's funny. They're just like gone
for 5 seconds and then stop concentration. F that guy.
I wonder if they would just pop back in another car. Depends on how long.
That could be an interesting way to jump, like from car to car. Like you need to get real quick to another car.
I banish myself until I can bleep back to the last car. Yeah.
I feel like you would need like an intelligence check to do the math on like the speed the train is going and how long you would need to be banished to get to the point where you need to get. And depending on that check, you would maybe end up like very much in the wrong place.
That's too much Pythagoras shit for me. So
Yeah.
nope.
I tell you right now, Theodore is not doing that math properly.
Oh, fucking Theodore. What a guy.
Always travel with your lawyer. Tip for adventuring parties.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually a nice segue into today's main topic for you today. We're contemplating the question. I'm sure you all have had this experience. You all are setting up a one shot or an adventure or something, and you've got the open channel going, and somebody will invariably chime in, "Hey, so what's everybody planning on playing?" And I think that's an interesting question and an interesting topic to explore on how to respond to that question, taking into account the type of game you expect to have or want to have. Because I'll say right off the top, usually I see that question posed and people respond, "Oh, half orc barbarian," or
I'll be playing a half elf fighter / blade singer / rogue 2/3/2.
There's usually some crunchy mechanical stuff given. Well, good
I
chunk
will
of the
have
time too.
sharpshooter and great weapon master and elven accuracy because we are allowed 3 free feats at level 1.
But sometimes accompanying that is a little blurb. Hey, here's the cool little quirk about my character, or what makes them interesting or unique. I kind of lean towards playing at tables where it's more story centric, and that's what this group is all about. And I'm curious to how, in those sort of environments, if you don't know going in that it's going to be this, thank you, Siri, this super crunchy table that it is, okay, we're going to have 18 combats per day and they're going to last X number of rounds and it's going to be this level of difficulty, then the ones we stay away from. When you play in the tables that we're looking for, how do you all approach answering that question?
Well, it's interesting you asked that question because I posted just a few hours ago, actually, for a game that Violet and I are playing in tomorrow. I posted the following statement. I think I will be playing Remy Baptiste, a dumpy and stunty dwarven shipwright, and featuring his not-so-reliable steed, Richard the donkey. That
Team
was the
Richard
statement that I made. What's that?
Team Richard all the way.
Of course. Of course. So, that's typically the way I answer that question. Essentially, oftentimes seeing it come with another question. Oh, so what is that? Blah, 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 right? I typically tend to respond with what my character's job is and not what my character's class is or levels are, etc., etc.
Violet?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, that example too of the game we're going to be playing tomorrow, because like the description that you gave, it does give some of that information. Like, even though it is more of like a description of the character as a character, I do know you're playing a dwarf, and I also know that you're a spellcaster because you have a familiar. So it does give me a little bit of, or you have some spellcasting. So it gives me a little bit of that like mechanical information, but it's not just a mechanical answer. So I think that's kind of interesting. And I think that that, like, whether that was deliberate choice or not, that's usually how I would try to answer, is that it does, because I know that people probably do want, when they're asking the question, they probably are at least somewhat interested in the sort of at least the class of the character. But like for the same game, I think I described the character I was going to be playing as a fairy who's the leader of a butterfly horde, which Rook immediately guessed was, oh, so you're playing a swarm keeper. I was like, yes, yes, I am. But yeah, I didn't have to say it, but it was clearly there. Because that's her defining characteristic. And I think, I don't think it's a terrible thing to turn to class as a defining characteristic of your character, because that's why they have those skills. But yeah, I mean, it shouldn't just be like if you're just slotting in answers from, the player's handbook, like this is the one I picked, like it's a multiple choice question, then probably you need to be thinking a little bit more
or
about
a
who the character
survey
is.
with 7 questions that you answered. What is your class levels and what are your spells?
This is
that you
a
will
whole
have
other
prepared? Like,
But-
you're like pushing me towards a rant that I don't want to do today about multi-classing, but
yeah, I don't know that multi-classing necessarily, but maybe we'll see. We'll see where we're at and how much teeth we have in the main topic today before we start getting off there. But I think you brought up an interesting question or an interesting point. People are looking for something, right? You said, oh, well, we give this description, and from Rook's description, you could pull these little nuggets of information and gave you something. From yours, Rook could obviously pull more information.
I mean, if you're really familiar with like what someone's doing, sometimes it's easier to identify the key points. But
sure. But why do you think it's important, or it seems like it's important to certain people to know those things ahead of time? Like, I need to know who's playing martial classes and who's playing, what everybody's playing. Why do you think that's important?
I personally would say, first of all, I don't think it is important just outright. I think sometimes for some people and for some games, it is important. But it's not necessarily important. There's plenty of situations, especially a one-shot, where it is really not important at all. But if you're going to be playing a longer campaign, again, it's not necessarily important. Depends on the table, depends on the game. But I have seen situations where there was clearly some frustration at the table when, a party is meant to work together as a group. And so if multiple people in the party all kind of have the same skill set, sometimes it makes people feel like their character is a little less special. And I think some people don't like that. And I think that's completely valid. Not everyone plays that way, and you certainly don't have to play that way, but some people do feel that way. And I think that's why people go looking for that information. But also sometimes people just have this mistaken notion of like, you need to have a very specific party composition and like who's the tank and who's the healer and and that's kind of ridiculous.
For sure. I mean, I'm more along the lines of what Rook does, probably a little further along that line, because I am usually extremely enigmatic about what I post. Somebody's like, "What are you playing?" Oh, a lawyer. It gives you nothing.
Yeah, best of luck finding out the mechanics of a character Chuck's creating. Like, it's not going to happen.
But that's because most of those mechanics are not really that important. To me, it's the character. Who are they? What do they talk like? What do they look like? What are the things they like to drink? And how do they like to party? Those are important. How long can they hold it before they have to go to the bathroom? These are important things for me to know about the character that I'm trying to portray. But I also get to your point that, oh, we don't want a lot of skill overlap. I built this character to be really good at investigation, or I built this character to be, thank you, Siri. Again, I built this character to be really good, to be the face of the party and be really good at the situations that social encounters and that sort of stuff. And then somebody else comes along and they're pretty much as good. And then you're like, well, my numbers are better, or I really wanted to do these roles. And I think the best way, it's going to happen. If you play enough, these things are going to happen, even if you ask these questions, even if you set stuff up. And my thought is to not worry so much about those situations, but instead don't fear those situations, but instead find a way to make them where you can have party cooperation. How do we work together? We're both really good at this. How do we work together to do this? What complements each other? How can we can have discussions and talk about, oh yeah, you're really good at lockpicking. I'm really good at lockpicking. Do you like the new way that XYZ company is making their lockpicks with a little twist in over? I found that to be right there. Just talk. It gives you an excuse to talk to people and role play and engage more. And I think if people that like to, if you're a person that likes to role play to begin with, and you have certain skills, and you find somebody else has, there's always going to be skill overlap, especially these days. I see a lot of one shots where it's like 6 player characters. Everything's more than covered. The chance that we don't have somebody with good whatever, we're going to have 2 or 3 people that are good. Find ways to work together with those people.
Funny is the first thing I ever DM'd was a one shot that I wrote that was an all cleric party. It was pre-made characters that were all clerics. They had all clerics. They were different subclasses, but they were all clerics. It was a team of clerics clearing out a haunted house. And it was really fun. So like you definitely can have a lot of overlap and not have it be an issue.
Oops, all bards. I've seen that. That's a fun. That's a fun campaign. I mean, and that's the other thing where it's like, oh well, I really wanted to play such and such, but I see you've already got one. Somebody already claimed that. I can't play a warlock because we've already got a warlock. I can't play a bard because you've already got a bard. I mean, Rook, you went through this recently. I mean, tell us about.
So, yeah, I think that's a fair statement, right? Like, if you're not playing, especially in a long-term campaign, if you're not playing something that you want to play, and you're playing it simply for the sake of, oh well, there was already this, and this in the party, so I'm going to play this, then ultimately you're not going to have fun, and you're not going to be around that long in that campaign. And one other thing I want to touch on real quick before I get back to that is, that same type of player that wants to know what is everybody playing, what is X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. They're going to go, well, Richard can't be a donkey because donkeys are not an approved familiar in the Find Familiar spell. If you read right here on Player's Handbook, page 247, Find Familiar specifically says it must be X, Y, Z, A, B, or C as a thing, and the point I would say to that is, all right, so my familiar is not an owl that can see in the dark and fly around for a mile and tell you everything that is there, or a mouse that can scout the entire dungeon before we walk in, right? My familiar is a donkey that fucking hates me and is an ass.
I feel like in all situations you should always allow like an adaptation to the rules that gives you a disadvantage. Like if you're taking a disadvantage for the fun, like 100% it should always be allowed.
So like that's that, right? And maybe you could say, well, my donkey can pull a cart or whatever that a normal familiar shouldn't be able to do. Well, that'd be great if he would actually do what he asked him to do. So anyway, that's a digression, but yeah, I just think that in general, people need to play what they enjoy playing and what they want to play. And if that overlaps with other people in the party, that's what it does. That means that everybody is doing what they want to do. If everyone wants to be the elven accuracy sharpshooter crossbow expert rogue, then whatever. That's what they want to do.
I have a counterpoint to that, which is I 100% agree with you that, like, yeah, you should never play something that you're not enthused about just to fill a space in the party, because you're not going to enjoy it, period. However, like personally, I can make a character I'll have fun playing that is literally any class, any race, doesn't matter at all. And so, like, to me, because I'm never really that fixated on like, oh, I really want to play a fighter, or I really want to play a wizard. Like I never really feel that strongly about it. Like I'll play whatever. So I'm usually more interested in filling a space in the party, because to me it's more fun to be someone who's like useful and valuable and will have a lot of opportunities to kind of step up and be like, hey, I can do this. Like because I don't really care what class I play.
Yeah, not
So
me.
to me,
Not
I'd
me.
rather
I'm a
fill
dick.
space.
I am 100% a dick and want to play what I want to play, and I don't give a shit what anyone else is playing.
That's my point, though, is I do want to play what I want to play. It's just not based on class. It's not based on like the character build specifically. It's more about like the role that I'm filling in the game. That's more important to me. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that a step further. I want to play who I want to play. It's not what, oh, I really wanted to play a fighter today, or I wanted to play Theodore today because I was in that sort of a mood, or Giacomo because I felt like singing. Right? It's who do I feel like playing today?
Yeah.
What are their characters? And it doesn't matter. I could take pretty much any character that I have and switch classes. And it'll be the same personality, the same character with a few different abilities and different stuff. But it's like, who do I feel like playing?
That's interesting, because actually from our last game, Minuet, I had as a concept originally as a clockwork soul sorcerer. I had developed, and then I was talking to Rook, sorry, go ahead.
Let me just stop you real quick. Thank you, Starry Dell, for rating into us. If you have to rate and run, we appreciate you trusting us with your community. For those of you that don't know us, we are an actual play D&D podcast that on our off weeks we do kind of jump in and just talk some shit, and also talk a little bit about role-playing concepts to put more role-play into your RPGs. And that's what we're doing here tonight on our happy hour. So we're excited you all are joining us, and thank you, Starry Dell, for jumping in.
Yeah, to catch
back
any
to
of you
Minuet.
Well,
to catch any of you
go
up,
ahead, yes.
so they know. First off, train conductors, train engineers, train personnel drink for free. Today they drink for free. Various reasons, but they drink for free. And then we are talking about answers to that question you see posted all the time when you join, especially a one shot or a new campaign. What are you playing? And how best to, so I don't want to say how best, how it can be answered and create a role-playing answer to that situation, rather than okay, this class is already checked off, this class is already checked off, how about I go this class sort of response. So
I also just want to say really quick to any readers in the channel, we also are always charity fundraising on this channel. And this month we are raising funds for Trans Lifeline, which is a crisis and peer support hotline for trans people. It's trans-led and trans-staffed. It's really awesome. And so, yeah, that's our charity that we're fundraising for this month. So as I was saying before, Minuet from our last game was originally a concept that I had been thinking about as a Clockwork Soul sorcerer. And then talking to Rook about his character concept and doing sort of like the creepy thing. And he really wanted to do the enlarge reduce and make like a fighter really like spindly and creepy. And I was like, that's cool. And so we're like, all right, that Minuet will do it. Yeah. So I adapted at that point to make Minuet into a fighter. So it was the same basic character in a lot of ways, and I completely changed her class class. Actually, I changed her race too. She was an auto gnome, and I switched her to a warforged. So still mechanical, but but yeah, and she became a fighter and a pretty badass one. So
Yeah, and she was super, super fun because she was this creepy ballerina that was a ballerina stepping up and down the side of a train, and then Spindly Man, long arms and legs, doing crazy shit and opening her face up so you could see her eye mechanics. All of that, like all of it was super fun. Like,
and has nothing to do with her being a fighter. Like this has absolutely nothing to do with her class.
yeah, it all just has to do with being cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so if any of you want to watch, I believe that's still posted as a video on demand. That'll be up for a little while. We'll be setting up some more permanent links to some of these as well. But yeah, we went and basically we're pirates robbing a train with a lot of creepy stuff.
Robbing
And
slash terrifying a train.
A two-headed and four-armed doll riding
Oh,
piggyback
Evangeline.
on a elongated and improperly aligned warforged fighter.
Not to mention people bleeding from their eyes uncontrollably.
And a lot of people getting yeeted off a train.
Yes.
Just
There
left
was-
and right.
There
like-
was a lot of yeet.
yeah. Mhm.
We
But,
probably
but
should
I-
have had a yeet count in chat, actually, for all of the
Right.
poor employees of the train that were no longer on the train by the end of
But
the
they
session.
now get to drink for free. Huzzah!
Mhm,
That
yes,
is
they
true.
do.
That is true.
But no, that was and I think that was a fantastic case study as well. To this exact point, Rook, when you were creating your character and when it came time to do stuff, we had two of the same subclasses, even not two of the same.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Class.
The
But-
creation bards.
Yeah,
Like what a random thing
random-
to have duplicates of.
I mean, but they were completely different. Like,
Oh, so different.
The checkbox is like if you're just looking at the stats, compare these two characters. Well, the stats were very, very similar, but the personalities were 180 degrees from one another. And Rook, you could talk about it more. Did it feel weird to be having the same class or subclass, or was it just so different? It was two different people.
So all I can say is when I chose, I'm going to play this creepy ass bard of creation that makes this doll come to life. And I'm totally thinking along the lines of The Conjuring and Annabelle and all of that crap, right? And then our guest for the game last Monday was like, hey, I'm going to play a bard of creation. I was like, man, this is so funny. First of all, I've never played in a game with a bard of creation ever. And number two, holy shit, are our spell lists going to be completely different? I 100% am certain that they will be, and they were, and it was a ton of fun. And even he was like, man, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe you chose that, blah, 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 blah. And he animated a statue during the game or whatever. But I actually started the
Jeffrey.
game.
Remember Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, the thinker. Jeffrey,
Yes.
the thinker.
The Dragonborn thing.
The Dragonborn thinker, yeah. But I actually started the game with my doll in tow, strapped to my belt, whatever you want to call it, and then animated that creature. And it was so much fun, man. Like everyone just had a good time.
I mean, yeah, they were the personalities were different, their attitudes on life were different. They were just two different people. So you can be the same thing. I had the same experience. We were doing a campaign, a full-length, long-term campaign once, and chose my thing. We showed up the session one to start playing, and it's like, oh, look, there's another warlock, and then it comes to, oh, the same exact subclass as me, but they could not have been two more disparate characters, and you never felt like there was anybody stepping on anybody's toes or doing the same sort of things because they were just different. They were just different people. They were different characters. So just because it says same class, same subclass, does not mean that it's going to be. Those things are not great to define who the character is. They're how your abilities function, and they're the framework of the game, and they're great, but they're not who you are. And I think that's the more important thing to concentrate on and find in the character, and then bring that out and play that and tell people who that is, you know.
Yeah. And I think even speaking to like the idea of the party overall, because that sometimes is the argument that people will make about the party composition and wanting to have balance and that sort of thing. I remember the first D&D party I ever played in, and one of the most fun D&D parties I ever played in was like the squishiest group. We were all spellcasters and one rogue, and like just most of our attacks were like psychic damage. Like we were just the creepiest group of people that could have easily been killed like with direct attacks, but most of the time we destroyed enemies before we were even within their melee range. So it was it was amazing, and it was such a it created a really interesting party identity that we had that sort of unique makeup. And so the idea that a party has to be made up of certain elements and has to have all these different positions represented, I think is just really false.
It's real funny you say that. Psychic damage is my friend, and creepy is my friend, and I feel called out right here, right now. However,
hey, look, if that's your D&D love language, it's good. We're fine.
Yeah, Shatter Kai, man, all the way. Hashtag Shatter Kai.
Hi.
Chuck, do you want to talk a little bit about what we're doing next Monday while we have all the Raiders here in chat?
Oh, well, we will once again be playing an actual play, a one-shot with no trains this time, but I'm sure there will be quite a bit of mayhem and madness. There will be, I think, Rook, you're under the hood next week, but Violet and I will be on screen, a couple of other regulars, and we will be having a special guest on, a friend of mine, Friday. Will be guesting with us and playing, and we're hoping to have another fantastic, wild, crazy, enjoyable time rolling some dice, playing some characters, and making bad decisions.
Always, every time.
That should have been the name of the game, not Dungeons and Dragons. Just making bad decisions. Making bad decisions.
Far more accurate. Happens a lot more consistently than either Dungeons or Dragons. Bad decisions.
Oh my, yeah. The decisions questionable. Let's call them questionable decisions. We don't like to judge good or bad or evil around here. It's questionable. There are some questionable decisions. But yeah. So the idea of answering that question, what is everybody playing? What's everybody thinking? All of that with concentration on who the character is. To me, that's more important. Don't worry about what the mechanics are. Don't worry about all that other stuff. But who are they? And maybe who does their therapist think they are? That's also a valid way to look at it and put that out there. I know we haven't, and we can't give you any more clues or spoilers or hints for this upcoming one-shot next week because we haven't started that character development. I'm sure this very question is going to be posted in our private Discord at some point within the next 24 hours. And if you stay tuned...
What is everyone thinking about playing?
As always, I have at least 4 character ideas already, and I probably will play none of them, and we'll make several more before we get to the game.
And if I were playing, I would be like, I don't want to waste this character concept on a one shot. Jesus, this is way too much cool for me. I can't waste this on a one shot.
I will say my characters may reappear again in other one shots or in longer term adventures because I don't have the same strict confines with where they belong and trying to reconcile the fact that they were on this planet in this one shot with these people and now they're in this campaign with those people and it doesn't know.
I actually have a very specific idea about bringing back a character I've played in one of our games before, but it's a secret. So you'll have to wait and see.
Now I'm interested. I'm invested. Let me go subscribe real quick.
Oh my.
We shall see. And that's another thing, actually, to the point of when people ask that question, sometimes you can just not answer. You have to be like, wait till we play and find out. Especially, particularly if you're playing a game where the characters are going to be meeting for the first time in that first session, not where they need to know each other beforehand.
Or being in Discord and be like, oh, I just saw this. We're meeting in a couple hours. Thumbs up.
Yeah. But it does also, but answering that and answering it in a role play like manner versus the here's class, race, levels, and whatever feats that I'm taking. If you answer it just, I'm playing, a freedom fighter that's looking for goblin rights, right? Other people can be like, oh, that's cool. That actually works well with this concept and this other thing that I'm bringing over here. And it's like, oh, private message. Do we maybe know each other already and have some stuff going on? There's opportunity to develop some sort of basis for role. We don't need a combined backstory. It's not like you were twins that were separated at birth. We don't need to go the telenovela route with it. But hey, we met each other a month ago, and over the last month, we've known and done a few things, and we have some sort of we've been going to meetings together, and whatever it is that may give you something, so that you come to that for a session. It's introduce your character, and you introduce your character, and maybe can do a lead into another character. Maybe you already have some sort of relationship going on. The conversation can start a lot easier than 4 or 5 people are going to go through their character and now go ahead, interact. You have some sort of basis for that already. Especially if you like to role play, I love to find those little connections. What are those? If we were in that murder board, where would the yarn be drawn between my character and your character and some mystery character?
I have to say, I feel like having this conversation is kind of making me want to try deliberately planning to play the same class, subclass, everything as another player and play as like professional rivals, or maybe we studied together, or like do it deliberately, because I think that could be really fun. And there are a lot of possibilities for that don't usually come up because people don't like to do that.
I mean, Violet, you and I had a ton of conversation leading up to last week where we were like, what the fuck is this person actually playing the same obscure subclass that I'm trying to play? Like, what are the chances? And they were
because you didn't say you were playing a creation bard in the public server, but we had talked about it because our characters knew each other. And so we were privately like, what the fuck?
or better yet, when we're in there and like we've done 3 so far, 2 D&D of these one-shot charity streams that we aired. We will have video on demand for both of them eventually up somewhere. So just hit that follow button. You'll find them eventually. But there's been crossover on magic items, on obscure magic items.
The most weird, obscure shit. Like every single game, at least 2 people are taking the same magic item.
Owen's character last time, nuts. I think both of his items, someone else had them. We had the same shoes, and I think he and Luke had the same crossbow.
And the week before, we had matching gloves, and it's just that glove is like the most obscure item. It doesn't really do useful stuff. Okay, you can burrow, Well, it doesn't come up all
Burrowing?
the time. You get a little
So
bit of blindsided.
weird.
You get burrowing, and the second I use that, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna burrow right down next to you. Hey, what's going on, bud?"
And just to sit in a hole and have a conversation, like not for any like functional reason. It was awesome. Yeah.
No, that's it. That I think that sort of stuff happens when people are looking to play a role play centric game and not necessarily a mechanic centric game. Okay, yeah, I could take a +1 weapon, or I could take a +1 spell book or whatever. Oh well, let me find something a little more interesting that would be more related to this backstory that this character has. And your backstory is not going to come out in a one shot. If you try and get your,
Oh, yeah.
that's a topic for another time. We'll put a pin in that right now. But the point being, it's not about your backstory.
Mhm.
So have the backstory, and that informs who your character is. And that will also maybe inform the items or something like that. And it's interesting when they overlap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, magic items is it's a whole other thing. I love a weird magic item. Like, always take a weird one. Always take a weird one. Don't take a +1, whatever. Come on.
I like
Be cool.
I like a good cursed item.
Yes.
We've got.
It wasn't relevant. It didn't come up, but yeah, Minuet did have a cursed sword.
It's fun. Those things are interesting. Or sometimes I'll be like, okay, I really don't need a magic item specifically for this character. DM, can you give me some sort of cursed item? Here's my character. Here's what I'm going to be doing. Just give me something that we can have fun and play around with. And if your DM is on the same page, which they should be, because it's really hard to. I mean, I've played in one shots before where I look at something and it sounds like it's going to be role play based, and then you show up with this role play character and it's very crunchy, right? And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do the best and use the moments that I have to the best of my ability and go through it because I said I was going to be here, but not what I'm looking for. But more often than not, you all are there for the same reason. You've talked about what you all like, and if you ask your DM for a cursed magic item, they're going to give you something that's going to be interesting.
I can't imagine a DM that wouldn't be like, yes, please. Let me do that to you.
Yeah, I mean, but you don't want the yes, please, let me do this to you. So it makes you make a lot of rolls and makes you have a lot of, just to have a lot of crunchy mechanical effects, right? You want it to be interesting,
fun
story related. Yes. So that's what we got. That's what we got there. And I don't know. Is there? I think that covers this topic pretty thoroughly. Were there last parting thoughts that anybody had on our topic?
As I've said before, I don't really care what class I play. So, if anyone happens to be watching and wants to pop into our Discord and tell me what to play in our next one shot, I may take you up on it. I'll play whatever. Throw some ideas out there.
It's a week from now, 9:00 Eastern, 6:00 Pacific. We'll be playing a one shot of some sort, and we'll see where it goes. Like Violet was saying, it's all for Trans Lifeline this month. This channel is committed to making sure that we're always about having some sort of fundraising going on and making the world a better place than we left it, or making the world. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say.
I'm not quite left it yet,
have
but
another fucking drink. Who cares? Leaving the world a better place than we left it, or than we came into it. Yeah, fuck it. I'm done. I don't even know anymore. I don't care. One shot, and next Monday. That's all I fucking know.
Yes. Yeah, please send in your character thoughts, character ideas, thoughts on how that question should be answered. Thoughts on last week's topic of, is it okay to have breakfast for dinner. That's also
Or
fantastic.
dinner for
Please come-
breakfast.
Please come.
Equally valid. I feel like breakfast for dinner is more popular than dinner.
I,
for
in
breakfast.
fact, did have steak and eggs on Saturday. So yeah, dinner for
Eggs.
breakfast. It's also a popular option. Please jump over to our Discord. I think it's like down there or somewhere around
It's
under
somewhere.
Hit the button.
It's under Chuck.
Yeah.
That's all we
Okay.
know. We don't know which direction because it's hard. But
I think for me, it's this way.
yeah, it's no.
You're diagonal. Rook. Yeah.
It's there.
But thank you for joining us for our nonsense, and we look forward to seeing some of you in the audience during our next live stream when we're playing all sorts of weird characters that we will not tell anybody exactly what they are until we start playing. But until then, thank you for joining us, and remember, hit points are not required to enjoy a tasty beverage.